Crescent University team members and staff who has been working day and night to make this as a grand success. So before we go on into our program, I request everyone to raise from your seat for the Tamil.
Crescent School of Business. I welcome all of you in this beautiful morning to this launch of our new program, MBA in Innovation, Entrepreneurship and Venture Development. I welcome our esteemed Vice Chancellor, Dr. A.P. Mohammed, who is with us in all our endeavors. I welcome Mr. Rajan Srikanth, President, Kiritsu Forum, Chennai. Our welcome goes to Mr. Sivaraja Ramanathan, Founder and CEO, Native Leads, who is always with us to give new ideas. It's a pleasure to welcome Mr. Chandu Nair, a startup advisor who gives us a lot of ideas and inputs, who also nurtures many of our startups. I'm very happy to specially welcome Mr. Reggie Joseph, advisor and investor, who has been a great encouragement for CIIC. I welcome our Additional Registrar, Dr. N. Raja Hussain. I welcome all our staff members, Dean, Crescent School of Business, Professor Srinivasan, other staff members of CIIC, and I welcome all of you from the press and media, people from press and media. All of you know that this MBA in Innovation, Entrepreneurship and Venture Development is a special program envisaged by the Ministry of Education and also promoted by All India Council for Technical Education, AICTE. Our country or the education system has put a lot of hope in this program, which will be useful for startups, entrepreneurs and their management. We all know that innovation today, new technology is emerging every hour, and innovation creates some products or services out of the new technologies. Entrepreneurs try to create a business using those innovations. When it comes to venture, why is it called a venture development? There are two uncertainties. One is whatever comes out of innovation, the venture people hope that the society will like their product. Any new technical product, there is a hope people will like the product. Once again, when we say venture, again there is an uncertainty. There is a hope that it will make profit also. That is why it's called venture. You do not know what is at the end of it. And when we put all the three together, innovation, entrepreneurship and venture, it is a very complicated issue. But our young people are facing it. Our young people are very successful, and India is one of the hotspots for startups and venture development. Every day a new venture is announced. There is a successful monetization, corporatization and all that. So we hope that this MBA in Innovation, Entrepreneurship and Venture Development will be a much sought after program, and I request our press and media to give a wide coverage for this program because many people who wish to study this area should know about it only from you, potential students.
I request our Registrar Sir to felicitate Mr. Shivaraja Ramnath.
சார் கொஞ்சம் பின்னாடி வந்துருங்க.
I request our Additional Registrar, Dr. N. Raja Hussain, to felicitate Mr. Chantu Nair. I request our Dean of School of Business, Dr. Srinivasan, to felicitate Mr. Reggie Joseph. Now I request Mr. M. Parvez Alam, CEO and Director of Crescent Innovation Incubation Company.
Our Additional Registrar, Professor Raja Hussain. Guest of honor is Mr. Rajan Srikanth, Mr. Sivaraja Ramanathan, Mr. Chantu Nair, and Mr. Reggie Joseph. And from outside, our Dean Srinivasan, HOD Professor Shanmuham, and his colleagues, and the CEO of CIIC, Mr. Parvez Alam, and his team, and Mr. Ganesh Ratnam, who is organizing this show, and finally the present media. It gives me immense pleasure actually to participate in the launching program of this unique MBA IE week. As explained by our Parvez Alam, you know that this is a new program offered in a limited institution in India, and our institute is selected based on our strength. Our Crescent School of Business is doing wonderful job for the past many years offering MBA program, and this CIC, even though it is new, it has won many accolades to its credit. Of course, it has won a 5-star rating from Ministry of Education, Government of India, and in the top 25 ranking in the ARIA ranking. Based on that only, we are able to get this program. And this is a unique opportunity for the entrepreneurs, particularly the potential entrepreneurs and innovators, to start establishing their enterprise, and of course they can build their empire. As told, they can also become a unicorn company in short period of time. Why I am saying that is this ecosystem is available in our campus. Our campus is A+ rated by NAC, And it's a very clean and green campus. It is essential for healthy living. That's more important. We provide that kind of ambience in our campus. And it is also a multidisciplinary campus. So it started as an engineering college, and later it became deemed to be university, and we offer program in arts and sciences, law, pharmacy, architecture, and of course the management. And so it gives a multidisciplinary exposure for the students, for all the students, particularly for the students of MBA, IEV. So we promote the T-shaped learning. So in the letter T, the vertical line represents the domain knowledge, the core knowledge, by which only I can come out with innovative and creative ideas. And the horizontal line represents the collaborative knowledge and the skills. So innovative idea is not sufficient actually to make it a business. So the collaborative knowledge and skill is also essential. So that is provided in our campus because it is multidisciplinary. So we can come into contact with all the engineering aspects of the business, and of course the law department is also available. So he is also exposed to the latest technology. Any business without the latest technology, particularly the business analytics, the data structure, the AI. So without that, nobody can run the business. So the whole ambient, the ecosystem is provided. And not only that, with the CIIC is functioning in a full swing, our students, particularly I'm talking about the MBA, IEV students, can network with his peers. So when he joins, people around him also would be having the same fire, desire, and intention to become a successful entrepreneur. So he can bridge the knowledge gap when he interact with those peer group. And we also have a mentorship facility. Whenever a business or the entrepreneur gets stuck, our mentors will handhold and lift them up. So that kind of arrangement is also available. And we also provide access to the investment. So money is very important. So that access to investors also provided, and we have actually the speakers, the guests of honors, they will explain you about how you can get the investment. Now,
so today I take the privilege to invite sir to speak on the program.
Thank you, Nisha. And I should acknowledge all the others that have spoken before and that are yet to come. Clearly, close to what he did. So you have to, those of you from the Tamil media have to excuse me for that. But I also want to acknowledge my buddies and friends from the investor community that are also here. Shivaraja, who will speak after me, and Chandu and Reggie, all dear friends. And all of us are together in acknowledging and celebrating that this is actually a wonderful development that Crescent is received the approval to launch this MBA program in innovation, entrepreneurship, and venture development. So let me just share a few thoughts. Nisha introduced me and said I've been involved with Crescent. Actually, I've been involved with the broader ecosystem here as well. So even before Crescent, I've been very closely involved for almost the last 10 years with IIT Madras's incubation cell. So I have seen, if you will, and before that I used to be in the US, in Silicon Valley. I was a professor at the University of California at Berkeley. So I have seen firsthand what it takes to develop entrepreneurs, you know, and what are some of the things that work and what are some of the things that don't work. In fact, also I sometimes say sheepishly, I was part of the first programmatic effort in India to do a degree on entrepreneurship. This is the IIT Madras launched a program MS program in entrepreneurship, which ironically is still around, in 1983. And I was a student of that very first batch after graduating, though I left it in 2 months saying that they don't know what they're talking about. I still think that's a problem that faces many of these programs to educate entrepreneurs. But what I'm going to tell you is that I think that right now the time is right. Okay, and that I think this is absolutely needed. So why am I saying that? Keiretsu Forum is the world's largest angel investor network. We have chapters around all 4 continents, 55 chapters. We also have 4 chapters here in India. And the Chennai chapter that I head has done about 90 plus investments in about 75 startups in the last 6 years. So I have also personally mentored about 200 plus startups coming out of IIT and through the companies that we have funded. So I have a broad base of entrepreneurs that I have worked with, and I'm talking about whatever I'm going to share with you is based on that experience of having worked for the last 10 plus years with entrepreneurs here and a little bit with entrepreneurs in the US before that. What is very clear, again, this may be a rule of thumb that may make some people uncomfortable, that generally speaking from the investor community, we assume that only 1 out of 10 startups will be successful. Okay, have anybody heard that before? Only 1 out of 10 startups, that is generally assumed to be successful. Now, why is that? Is it because the ideas are bad? Often that's not the case, because every entrepreneur comes out with great ideas. It often is the execution of the idea that falls apart. And why does it fall apart? It often falls apart because there are some critical gaps in skills and knowledge. Generally speaking, because the entrepreneur is first generation, they don't have a full broad base of business experience. But even if they are experienced, if they are getting into a new venture, there's obviously a new set of challenges, new sets of issues, etc. So really, if you look at the fact that only 1 out of 10 startups succeed, then you have to ask yourself, is there anything that as a society we should be doing to change that? To change it from 1 out of 10 to maybe 2 out of 10, maybe 3 out of 10, 4 out of 10. And honestly, I think that comes back to education. Because if you say why they fail, of course they sometimes fail because there's no funding, because the market is not there. But you can bring all that back to, do they know what they need to know in order to manage the business properly? Okay, that's what it comes down to. Okay, and if you say, do they know what they need to know to run their business properly? Some of it is knowledge. So for example, in some critical areas like marketing, finance, etc., typically, several of the speakers before me talked about how technology entrepreneurs are actually in the leading, are in the front of innovation today in the Startup India movement. And certainly in Tamil Nadu, and certainly at Crescent, and certainly at IIT, where I have been very closely involved. So many of these technology entrepreneurs have critical skill gaps when it comes to, or knowledge gaps even, when it comes to marketing, finance, HR, these types of areas. But it's not just knowledge. There's also often, if it is knowledge, you can just teach courses in the class and hope that they pick it up, or they could go to YouTube and learn some of those things for themselves. They can teach themselves, right? But that is what we also realize, it's just not knowledge, it's also the skill of being able to apply that knowledge. And the skills that often come from practicing the application of the knowledge. So, and that is, I think, if you look at, if you're trying to design an education program that's trying...
So there's a flyer also. There are 2 flyers in front of you. Okay.
So can you give this brochure? Yes, available. Yeah. So look at the brochure. Only can be closer. Come closer. So look at.
Development. So at this moment, I take this opportunity today. Crescent Incubation Center and Native Leads are working together very closely in bridging the technologies and innovation across Chennai to the down south of Madurai. So we are identifying many of the startups. Again, through these courses, we'll be more promoting all these startups and the coming generations to come, because there are a very good, rich knowledge and technology and vibrant aspirant students down south. So Native Leads is again going to support the venture, this program, indirectly and directly in identifying these aspirants. So I take this privilege to invite Shivraja sir to this forum. And apart from that, he is one of the advisors for this program too. So he was the main brainstorm in supporting us in developing the curriculum, identifying all the different small, minute corrections and everything. So I take this opportunity to invite sir to the dais.
Traditional media is dying. How many of you here agree? All of you agree. However, I'll say that journalists are also a dying breed, traditional journalists. But I'll also say in the same breath, having run a knowledge services company, from a journalist I became an entrepreneur, and I exited 10 years ago. So I became a successful entrepreneur. I'll also say the same thing, that there is an opportunity. Content creation is thriving. You see the number of people on Clubhouse, you see the number of people on Twitter Spaces, you see the number of podcasts, you see the number of newsletters, paid newsletters, you see the companies that we are investing in. The Chennai Angels, of which I am a member and so is Reggie, has invested in companies like Nojoto, which are content creation platforms and marketplaces. My request to you is, you should consider doing this program, the MBA IEV, because it will transform you from being a journalist who is dependent on traditional media to an independent entrepreneur who is a content creator or a content platform creator or a content business person. And believe me, I have invested in such content companies. I can tell you that there is no longer a business model for traditional media in India or overseas, but there is a model for content creation, and it is very good for you to consider doing a program like IEV, MBA IEV. Now, why am I going to talk about this? Because one of the biggest problems today that we have is employment. And employment in the media, if you look at it during the pandemic, coronavirus, I have a lot of my good friends from the media who lost their jobs. I know many people who were given what they call furlough, or many people who had to take 50% salary. All of you are here. I don't want to tell the names of the media houses which sacked people. I don't want to tell you the names of people who got kicked out. But even a particular paper which is down the road, not even 2 kilometers from here, completely sacked its Bombay office. I think you all know which establishment I'm talking about. So employment is a problem. How big is the problem is what we don't know. We need 1 million jobs, that's 10 lakh jobs every month for the next 15 to 20 years. So we are talking about 20 to 24 crore jobs that need to be generated. Now government employment has been stagnating around 8.33 lakhs, around 8.3 to 8.5 lakhs. Defense forces are excluded from this calculation. Private sector, just the top 10 companies are generating 25 lakh jobs. People like HDFC, ICICI, etc. Now, if you want jobs to be created, you cannot depend on the government. You can't depend even on large private sector, because an automotive industry today employs only few hundred people. A large one, 5,000 crore investment, generates only 500 or 1,000 people employment maximum. But what can create jobs? If you were to create 5 million entrepreneurs who create an average of 40 jobs per entrepreneur, you have created 20 crore jobs. That is the intent behind this MBA IEV. Can we create more entrepreneurs who can create jobs? Why is this important? India has a per capita of just about $2,000. I just add $1 a day. I'm increasing the GDP by about 18%, ladies and gentlemen. Just $1 a day. And why is this so important? Even neighboring Sri Lanka is at $3,700. 1.7 times what we are. Much bigger than us. China is at $10,000. I don't even want to go to the US, which is at $68,000. Forget about Liechtenstein, which is at about $170,000. Just doubling our per capita makes us better. But to do that, we need more entrepreneurs. We need to democratize, make entrepreneurship more accessible. So first I've talked about this challenge of livelihoods and incomes and jobs. But I'll also talk about the other thing, which is the opportunity. I think Parvez mentioned about 61 unicorns. That's a very good thing. There is an opportunity today for all of you, including you in this room, to create tremendous wealth from being an entrepreneur. And we have seen it firsthand as angel investors. We are seeing many new entrepreneurs. In 3-4 years itself, they are able to build businesses which are very large. There is a new company called Apna, which in a matter of 2 to 3 years itself has become a unicorn. So there is a possibility to create tremendous wealth. We are seeing a company like Oyo, which is more value.
Thank you so much for turning up for this event. giving this importance for our event. This is the last speech before the lunch, so I'd like to be very, very brief. At the outset, I would like to thank our top management, board of management, our chancellor, pro-chancellor, for constantly pushing us to achieve something great, and particularly in the area of entrepreneurship, and finally this has happened. And our mentors, our vice chancellor, our registrar, our additional registrar, our senior general manager, they have been constantly encouraging us and giving us right inputs in shaping up our aims, our objectives for the program. Thank you so much, all the teams. And now we have some special guests, Mr. Shivaraja, Mr. Chandanayer, Mr. Reggie Joseph, and Mr. Srikanth. They are all very busy people. They are investors, startup advisors. Mr. Shivaraja has flown from Madurai exclusively for this event. So thank you so much for taking your valuable time, highly valuable time for this particular program, because they wanted this program to reach the masses, the target audience, so that there is enough acceptance, knowledge about this particular program. Thank you so much, sir. And at this point, I would like to thank the press for for the wholesome response and turning up in large numbers. Thank you so much. I'm sure that you will take the message which have been delivered by all our experts to the people. Now I would like to thank our AICTE, Minister of Education, for granting us, because this is given to select institutions. It is because of our experience. Crescent as an experience and CISC as a success, they have given to our institution. Thanks a lot to the authorities. Now thanks to our CISC team led by Mr. Parvez Alam, and our academic team led by Professor Shanmugam, HOD, and the entire team of marketing and admissions team. Thank you so much for making this occasion grand success, and I'm sure that with all your support, our program on MBIEV will be a great success. Thank you so much.
Group has 55 programs grouped under 12 different schools, 30 undergraduate programs, 23 postgraduate programs, and PhD in all departments. It's also part of the National Knowledge Network connecting national research laboratories and other educational institutions. So it doesn't lack for resources. Third thing is the approach. As all the other people before me have said, this is an immersive experiential program and not the usual MBA. So therefore, that's the third thing that matters. The fourth thing that matters for me is the attitude of the group. From the beginning, the management of the group and the operating academic council have been very clear that at the end of the day, the student matters and we have to do the best by the student. And I think that has been one reason why I have continued to remain as an advisor to the council, the Innovation Council, and be part of this program as well. And finally, what we are interested as entrepreneurs, as businessmen, and as people is that we have measurable outcomes. So very clearly, we are interested in seeing how we can create more viable startups over a period of time. We have already created 75 startups. We have funded them 5 to the extent of 7 crores. I am happy to tell you, in the Tamil Nadu Innovation Voucher Program, there were 100 vouchers given by Tamil Nadu government recently. Out of the 100 in the entire state of Tamil Nadu, 17 were received by the Crescent Innovation and Incubation Council. So just one incubator, that is us, got the maximum number. That tells you that we have the ability to deliver these outcomes. So this, in short, ladies and gentlemen, what we have to do this is repeat this time and time again. Ideate, validate, create, launch, scale, and monetize. For me, this is the virtuous cycle, and therefore I believe this is the right time for such a program, and that Crescent is the right place and the right people to launch such a program. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, and have a pleasant day.
Good afternoon, everybody. Steve Jobs said, "Stay hungry, stay foolish." But I'm going to add another layer to it. for all the young students who want to grow, to innovate, do something with their lives, is also to stay curious. Now, this is the key differentiating aspect we intend to inculcate in the current offering of the MBA IEV. The purpose of MBA's programs offered by several institutions is to convert novices into employable, polished students, but in reality, less than a tenth of them are employable. Now, this is something which is based on a study by Economic Times. Somewhere between the conversion of novices to employability, there is a leakage. And this leakage is driven by rote learning, misplaced objectives, limited vision, and lack of ear to the ground of reality. In the current age, minions today are challenging monoliths. It is important that our MBA factories do not produce just students with academic qualification and be industry ready. Instead, we want our students to be agile when it comes to businesses and straight-jacketed when it comes to ethics. The startup world we see today are still at an infancy stage. There's a long runway we see given the huge global opportunity. Our ability to continuously innovate to meet known consumer demand, and also the ability to capture the blind spots in the consumer demand is a critical aspect and a huge enabler to make lasting impact. And here at CIST, we are ready to help students emerge successfully to capture maximum leverage from this opportunity. You have read in this morning's Economic Times, Zemfo states that startup seed funding today in India is one startup is funded every day. We hope this trend continues. Our globalized digital economy and disruptive new technology and innovations are creating virtually unlimited opportunities. Human creativity and entrepreneurial mindset are needed to initiate successful new ideas and develop sustainable new markets and business models that will benefit society as well as businesses. Now, these programs are built to ensure anti-fragility. As defined by Nassim Taleb, it is not the opposite of fragility, but the ability to defend and withstand repeated attacks from the marketplace. We invite students, not just those who just want to succeed, but those who want to have the ability to handle failures and get back on their feet. Of course, we assure no success to students, but we can secure an ability to develop fresh ideas, new ideas, and eventually get a thirst for enterprise and transformation. Why is this program important? Entrepreneurship cannot be taught, but the entrepreneurs of tomorrow can be groomed to be more effective. They can be made more equipped to respond to the changing landscape. When it comes to entrepreneurship and innovation, sometimes an existing MBA program may not suffice. With this new program, the graduates will be working alongside the education and also implementing their new ventures. And then you have a layer of an incubator on it. The entire career development journey through the entrepreneurial layer becomes more effective. We must remember these programs are not just for those who want to start their businesses, but also who wish to join prominent organizations which leverages its entrepreneurial spirit. This program is purposefully built to teach and foster the ability to innovate, develop, and test business ideas, and sharpen the strategies and execution skills. I wish CIST all the very best in this endeavor. Thank you all.